Hello, YouTube. Do you ever get recommended something or just see something everywhere out of nowhere and your curiosity gets piqued a little bit? That happened to me recently with a music genre, I think it's a genre, called Maidcore. And it's something that has popped up in my recommended a couple of times. And I've never clicked on it, but it's just something that I've seen it again and again. And so it's kind of raised a little curiosity in the back of my mind. One thing that I like to do when this happens sometimes is go into something with no expectations and no knowledge of what it's about. That's one thing that I've done over on my gaming channel that has turned into one of my favorite series ever, was playing a game that I had vaguely heard of, but not looking up anything about it or allowing anybody to tell me about it. So I thought I would try the same thing here musically. So, like I say, I don't know anything about this type of music. I don't know if it's heavy metal or like hyper pop. I don't know if it's ambient or dreamy, or it could be any or all of these things. I only know the very little bit that I've seen from when I put together a playlist. I've got a YouTube playlist with a couple of entries. I don't know if we're going to get through the whole thing, but I went on Reddit, and the kind people on the Maidcore Music Reddit, they recommended me some artists and some specific songs. So I put my PC on mute and so I wouldn't hear anything. And I went and I made a playlist. So we're going to check it out. By the way, if you're seeing this and things have gone well, there's a good chance this is the first video over on my music channel. Like I said before, I do streaming. I've had a video essay channel. I have a gaming channel. But as you can maybe see from the guitars around me and stuff, I really like music. And I thought it might be fun to do a YouTube channel where sometimes I talk about music, sometimes I play some music. And I'd been thinking about that. And then I got this idea and I figured, hey, let's roll with a test run. So let's get into it. So one that came up again and again was Chikoi the Maid. So a lot of people, at least on the Reddit, seemed to credit this with being one of the standards or forerunners in the genre, I guess. Don't yell at me if I'm wrong. Like I said, I don't really know. I'm just going off of what I'm told. Now, just before we get started, I want to let you know I probably will not play the song all the way through, which means I will listen to it all the way through, but I'm going to edit it down to key parts and reactions and things like that. That's mostly to respect copyright here. Copyright does allow you to use songs for criticism and review and things like that, but if you're using the whole song, it's often considered not really respecting the rules and intent of that. So just to try to stay on the safe side with the copyright, I know I'm using other people's music to begin with for this video. We're going to try to keep it to short segments, and then I will link to the songs that I'm listening to here. If you'd like to listen to the whole thing, I'll make an effort to find that on the artist's page themselves. So let's get started. Okay, Chikoi the Maid, That All About Your Fear. No idea what to expect. Let's hear it. Ooh. Down-tuned guitar. Okay. You know what it's bringing to mind? Chord, which is not what I expected. It's got that low guitar. I'm going to say drop A, drop G sharp. Okay, we're laying back into the beat a little bit. Some bass and some bell-like guitar going on. Okay, so first impressions, musically, it's surprisingly more familiar than I thought it was going to be, and it's very kind of cinematic. I could see it being in a video game or something like that, or the kind of thing you would put on while gaming. It's got a nice groove. It's got a little bit of direction to it, but it's definitely laying into that groove a bit. So let's see what else it's got. And then we're back into the low-tuned guitar riffing. Okay, we've got that shimmery tremolo effect going on there. One thing that I'm wondering at this point, given that samples have gotten so good these days, I wonder what percentage of this is physical instruments, like electric guitar, electric bass, and what percent of it is sampled. If I had to guess, the drums sound sampled or triggered, which is nothing wrong with that. I'm just kind of thinking about the overall landscape and the production of this, maybe how it's done. It's certainly some organic sounding overtones and sliding between notes on the guitar parts. Nice round growly bass too. I think it's got a heavy mid-scoop sound in the guitar too, and maybe that's also what's making me think Korn a little bit. That and this juxtaposition of the low, aggressive riffing and the higher ethereal reverb delay type guitar going on. Okay, so that was That's All About Your Fear by Chikoi the Maid. Now, one thing I noticed when I was gathering these artists together is some of them are on Twitch. A lot of them look like they're on VKontakte, which I believe is largely Russian. I don't know if that's true that it's specifically a Russian site, but I know it is popular over there, and also Yandex as well. So it makes me wonder if a lot of this is from that area. And it also makes me think about, are these sort of like, I don't know if the right word is idols or personas, or it's almost making me think of like a VTuber sort of thing, but I'm not sure to what extent they really play into those dynamics and that direct characterization of the artists. Okay, we're going to try one. I don't know if this is going to be a different pace. This is one that is off of an album that was recommended. I don't recall the name of the album right now, but this is the opening song. Somebody's going to tell me what it is. This is Autumn Melancholy, also by Chikoi the Maid. I'm excited to see if this has a different sort of flow and tone to it. Love that bass sound. Got a lot going on with the long tail reverb. Nice little shimmery guitar. Okay. I know we hate when it gets paused, but like I said, I'm going to try to separate that a little bit for copyright and stuff. You know what this is really making me think of right now is post-rock. It's got a lot of like explosions in the sky, or maybe more so God is an astronaut sort of feeling. You've got that bass kind of driving and laying the melody and the rhythm. You've got a nice beat that picks up with the drums after a little bit. And the guitar plucking a lot of these single notes that are let to ring and kind of feed into reverb and everything. It's very pretty. I like it. Nice, thick, chordal sound on the guitar. All right, we've got a little bit of stuttering going on, maybe in post-production. A little bit of chopping up the riff. Okay, we're back here to sort of like basics, foundational level. That was a cool kind of like filter out and then sweep back in. I liked that. The little synth lead, oddly enough, is making me think of like Owl City. Okay. I like that one. I have to say it was at no point did it get bad, but I really felt it was calling to me more in the first half. It just something about now I should say I'm a pretty big like post-rock, post-metal fan, so something about those long kind of haunting notes but with sort of the upbeat sort of rhythm driving it. It's hard to put into words, but I was really feeling it in the first half. The second half, maybe not doing as much for me, but I'm starting to get a feel, I think, for the style and conventions, maybe at least of this artist. So we have one more from Chikoi the Maid, and this is I'm Cool. So the other thing that I'm starting to see as we add artists to this, I don't know how much of this is official art and fan-made art, but I see a lot of guns and a lot of tactical gear and things like this. Now, I don't know if this also plays into maybe the gaming scene that I picked up on a little bit, or if there's something else to it, but it is something that I see a lot, and it seems to be usually in relatively good attention to detail. So almost a bit of milsim or something going on here with realistic weapons and such. But let's get into I'm Cool by Chikoi the Maid. Okay, I'm really liking this clean picking and delay. There's a lot going on here with guitar layers that I really like. There's the clean picking with the delay. There's a higher, not quite a mandolin, but sort of a higher staccato sort of picking. And then we're layering in a little distorted one coming in now. And of course, the bass has that nice round tone, a little bit of grunt and growl to it. I'm liking it. Good, solid rhythm on the drums. There's a lot of good elements I enjoy here. Okay, so bringing it back to I almost want to call it metalcore kind of sound. You've got some nice, pretty thick wall of sound thing going on with the distorted guitar playing the chords, and then you've got a little lead guitar cutting through a little bit. Good groove. I enjoyed that as well. Oh, and this was a nice little change up back to the original. Clean, kind of bouncy, airy groove. Synths coming in with a little bit of dissonance. All right. Oh, I guess we're right into the next one. Yeah, so that was Chikoi the Maid. Now, these next ones are Yakui the Maid, and there was something I noticed, and maybe I should have looked into it more, but I was recommended an album that when I looked up the album on YouTube, there was something in the description about it being a deleted Bandcamp album that somebody else had re-uploaded. I don't know the full story behind that, so what I wanted to do was avoid that one in the case that that was something that the artist didn't want up or available for some reason. So I could be being overly cautious, and it's nothing, but I picked a couple that it looks like are on the official sort of YouTube artist channel here. So this is Calamity by Yakui the Maid. Ooh, okay. Very harsh sounds. And if I'm hearing right, not exactly diatonic to a 12-note system. But as it repeats, my ear becomes more accustomed to it. Another very post-rock kind of feeling. Very nice, pleasing guitar. And I'm liking the interplay between that and the harsh, like, glitch industrial kind of electronic noise. Very nice build up, thick chords, long ringing out, reverby, single notes. I think what's making this distinct to me from a lot of post-rock and stuff that I would listen to, because a lot of this, if you took a couple of these tracks, the guitar, the bass, the drums, and just told me this was a post-rock album, I would believe it. I think what's making this stand out a little bit is that integration with the electronic and heavily sampled sort of sounds. That's what I'm gathering. Okay, that was a cool drum line to bring us back into this. And that melody sounds like a whammy pedal or an octaver of some kind. And it sounds like it's calling back to the glitchiness that we heard in the beginning. That may be a straight-up synth rather than a whammy pedal. It's cool, though. Cool sound. I like that a lot. I don't have too many other notes than I enjoyed that, and I could definitely see throwing that on in the background of something. This sort of feels like the type of music that is not necessarily demanding your forefront attention, but the kind of thing you can kind of jam to, vibe to, have something else going on at the same time. So this is another by Yakui the Maid. This is Goodnight World. A little bit of reversed instruments going on here. I like that. Melancholy, of course, a little bit haunting even, you could say. Love that drum beat. It's almost the kind of thing where you could go for a busier breakbeat sort of rhythm. But I like the laying back a little bit and emphasizing the bass hits that we do have in the drums. Maybe they'll build into something else. There's something back there that's very moving, very alien. And it almost sounds like garbled conversation or like snippets of a radio wave that's not coming through fully, but it's got those rhythmic patterns denoting speech. That's sort of what I'm hearing. It sounds like probably an evolving synth or something like that. Let me think of how to phrase this. It is not my ideal for something that I would probably enjoy just listening and grooving to. But for the fact that I think it's probably very intentional and creating an effect, I'm not saying it's bad. It's definitely something to note, and it's kind of unique. There was something about the way the guitar sounded there that I can't quite put into words, where they sounded a little far off and not not produced with the kind of intensity and fullness you would hear from a studio. That kind of gives this a DIY sort of vibe that I don't think is bad at all. I think it might risk being overproduced if it had the presence and intensity of, say, a modern metal album. There's something to this that definitely feels like somebody putting together their feelings and performance at a personal and individual level that I think is cool, in the way that you might see sort of lo-fi qualities of home recordings throughout several different eras and decades in music to be part of the charm and part of the presentation. So I'd say neither good nor bad, or maybe leaning more good than bad, but just something that I note. Okay, so here's a case where what I said kind of goes back the other way, where that previous set of riffs sounded kind of muddy. Everything was competing with itself. It sounded very washed out, and you can hear there's multiple parts leading, but they don't really get their own place in the frequency. And this is where the line between technical limitation and artifact of the means of recording, the line between that and aesthetic choice is sometimes thin. And what I mean by that is vinyl and tape distortion is popular, and CRT static is popular. And all of these things that are artifacts of the way that we record eventually become aesthetic facets in themselves that are intentionally incorporated. And this is a case where I'm not sure if what I'm hearing is a means of the recording and how it was produced, or something that was intentionally created to generate that feel. To me, it is a sort of nostalgia of being with my high school metal band and recording our own demos. So again, I don't know if that's just a case of that was the music production level of this, or if that is an intentional effect to kind of call back to those times. Okay, so seems like we're fading out here on Yakui the Maid, Goodnight World. So that was interesting. Definitely, as I say, sort of nostalgic vibes, atmospheric, something to kind of lean into and wash away in, sort of, if that makes sense. I enjoyed that. Let's move on after a short break, which will be meaningful for me, but unseen for you. All right, let's get to the next on our list. We have Medoi the Maid with Bez Proshanya, which I believe means no goodbye or without a goodbye or something like that. I did look that up to make sure. So Medoi was another one that was pretty commonly recommended. And instead of picking out a couple of singles, I just went ahead and pulled up this album, and we're going to skim through a couple songs from it. Ooh, okay. I'm liking this one. Driving bass. Kind of cutting distortion on that. Okay, Medoi's got the riffs. Kind of genty. We'll say this one sounds a lot more sonically filled out than the last one we listened to. Kind of interesting electronic sounds going on here. Oh, we're into a whole different song. Okay. Curious what this means. Okay, I'm liking the way this picks back up. Solid finish on that one. So that was Kraj o Betovani, which I know my pronunciation is not perfect, but I'm trying, which is apparently the Edge of Promises. So we've got a little short one here called Tosca, which I'm guessing is an interlude of some sort. Let's go ahead and let this one run and see what it is. Little electronic interlude, okay. Oh, that riff. I like that. Wow, this is almost like Loath sounding. This could be one of my favorites so far. So this is Uninya, I think, which apparently means despondency. So we're laying it back with the little electronic drum beat here, but that riffing was awesome. Cool little breakdown there. Okay, so that was a couple tracks off of Bez Proshanya by Medoi The Maid. And we move now, getting into the latter half of our list, we move now into Yabai The Maid. It always happens no matter what. Once again, another one that came recommended multiple times. So let's check it out. And I'm going to be taking a look to see how I think it compares and contrasts with the others that we've heard in this genre. I'm really liking this. I'm almost hoping they stay on this and build it out instead of going for an immediate drop. Got a little crescendo happening. Okay, kind of a marching snare. Good call to lay it back there. Lead guitar almost sounds a little, like, slightly detuned, but not in a way I mind. What are we gonna get, a drop here? Interesting. So that one felt a little more straightforward rock, but honestly or obviously, kind of interesting thing going on with what sounded like fingerstyle guitar there. But nice vibes on that one. Kept up the groove and the atmosphere for a couple of minutes before dropping into kind of a heavier beat. I liked that. Let's check out Clockwork Doll by the same artist. Kind of threatening piano in the beginning. And then maybe some pitched percussion. Definitely gives a music box kind of feeling. Okay, we're moving into a pattern where we're basically filling every eighth note at this point, creating constant motion where it was a little sort of bouncy, steppy before. Now we've got this constant rolling feeling. Okay. I didn't see that coming. I'm feeling it though. A little bit of breakcore in there. We had some nice subdivisions on those drums. And what I counted as eighth notes earlier might actually be acting as quarters with a high tempo. That was cool. That was very different from the last one in that we didn't get a lot of the like guitar straightforward rock sound. We got what sounded like maybe a slightly detuned piano and some pitched percussion, and then of course the drums just came in and went ham. That was cool. So I think we have one more by Yabai. Yeah, I'm happy but trying to make sad music, which is quite the interesting title, I thought. Okay, I'm feeling that bass. Kind of a swung waltz feeling, and what I'm gonna call probably 6/8. Very nice groove on this one. Now after the last song, every time we come to the end of a measure, I'm just waiting for a transition that I'm not expecting, but I am expecting it now. Love this one so far. one is so chill and kind of dreamy. This could fit right in with some of my playlists I have. And the production quality, too, I have to say, very good. This is the kind of thing where I'm struggling to come up with anything to say about it. But I really just want to chill with it. That's a groove I could just hang with for a long time. So that was Yabai the Maid. This might be if my other favorite heavy song was Madoi The Maid, this one might be my favorite of the more chill, laid back, atmospheric ones so far. Let's check out Dante and Hema, the Maids. This is Goodbye Raven. And this is another one where I'm seeing, kind of tactical equipment, semi-automatic shotgun with a holstered pistol. It just makes me I don't have a particular thought about it, just noticing it in correlation with the others that I'm seeing. Now, that said, we heard just a second of the riff, and this one sounds like it's going to be a headbanger, too, so let's check it out. Okay, interesting. So very heavy. You've got guitars panned left and right, and you've got a very sort of modern metal thing going on where you've got this wide legato here. And what I mean by that is it sounds like they've got these runs that are, maybe over a full measure or so, where they're bouncing around between notes very fluidly. I don't know if there's a little bit of tapping going on or something like that. But definitely very fluid transitions from one note to the other. And then, of course, you've got the chugs in there. You notice a couple little squeals. You've got some harmonics going off and maybe some minor second dissonance and things like that. So you've got sort of a back and forth between the very fluidity of the multiple notes being played and then the standout notes that ring out that are intentionally sort of dissonant and jarring from the main melodic counterpart. That's where that tapping comes in. Some of those rolling, palm-muted triplet chugs. Okay, that was pretty cool. Very modern metal, a lot of cool ideas and sounds going on there in that one. And now here we have, I don't know if this is the same Madoi the Maid. I'm thinking this is a transliteration thing, maybe where some people write it in English with an E and some with an A, just because of the way that the letters and phonetic vowels translate from Russian. I'm not sure. I'm thinking it's the same one, but we'll see. We've got two more on our playlist here. There's probably way more artists out there and many more that I could get to, but I picked a couple of the commonly recommended ones to kind of get a good cross section that I could listen to in about an hour, hour and a half. Certainly has the guitar sound of the other Medoi song. I almost expected a big, heavy riff right there. Maybe they'll get us the next time around. There you go. Okay, this one's kind of a straightforward rhythm. But it's nice, you can just latch on. I'm liking those relatively clean low notes on the guitar. It's a nice, pretty constant driving rhythm all the way through. Oh, here we go. So this one sounds like it's going to be a change. So yeah, we've got 200 hits per minute. Let's see what this one is all about, though we've got a little taste already. Okay, that caught me off guard. Is this just a distraction? Is this a red herring? Oh, listen to that bass crush. There we go. Bring it back, but just a little slower. Now let's see if they keep it kind of clean or if they bring the riff back for the end. Okay, they left it clean. Well, hey, so this was my first listen to any Maidcore bands. Was it what I was expecting? I'm not sure. I think I expected musically that it would be more distinct from stuff that I have listened to before. I was surprised at how familiar a lot of it was in terms of sounds and the different elements and things like that. Um, and at the same time, how kind of varied it is within what a lot of people recommended as Maidcore. There were definitely what I would have considered several different musical subgenres in there. And it makes me wonder if a lot of associating with this genre is as much about the identity and the characterization and almost idol status of the creators. That's something I haven't looked into as much is how all that impacts how the fans of the genre interact with their preferred artists and things like that. But it definitely seems to me that there's an element sort of identifying with this music that doesn't completely, but in some ways almost takes precedence over the idea that you have to have musical similarity with others within the genre, which I find pretty interesting. But let me know what you thought. Like I said, this is an experiment to sort of start out the music channel. So feedback for me is welcome, as well as feedback on what you liked, what you didn't like, although please be respectful to the artists that we listen to, and what you'd like to see more of. If you had a favorite track that we listened to, feel free to share that as well. If you thought there was something that I missed that I should have gotten to, or some information you'd like me to know about everything surrounding this, I'd love to hear it. That said, I do stream on Twitch and over on my gaming YouTube channel. Maybe I'll do some music streams. I don't know. It's a potential coming up. But if you'd like to see more, let me know. I don't know exactly what my plans are for this channel yet. I just know that I have ideas and things I want to talk about musically, and I want this to be a home for it. So we'll see what it looks like going forward. But hey, if you stuck with me this long, I appreciate you checking it out, whether you were on this journey with me for the first time or whether you love this genre of music and you wanted to see a newcomer react to it. I appreciate that you made it this far, and maybe I'll see you for some more music talks in the future. Thank you all.